Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Like a New Yorker. Very cool episode today because we're going to talk about art here in New York City and with a very special guest. I'm very proud to have her on our show because I've been knowing her for a while. I've attended many of her shows, and they are all great. So it's with pleasure that I introduce you to Marina Dojchinov. Hi, Marina. How are you?
Hi, Joseph. I'm well. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here on the show. It's great to have the opportunity to talk about art and something we really need right now.
Thank you for having me as a guest. It's great to be here and get to discuss these topics with everyone.
Absolutely. So we are here with art curator Marina Dojchinov, who has been on the art scene in New York for a while now, despite her very young age. But Marina, you are better than anybody else introducing yourself. So please tell our audience what brought you, in this career very successfully, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the current project. But please.
Sure. Well, I moved to New York 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I actually came here as a journalist. So I was in fashion before I was in art as editor-in-chief of Promo magazine. So I did the fashion thing for a while, and I just fell absolutely in love with art. I love every aspect about it. I co-curated a show with a friend of mine. It was for Brian Melling's charity. It was for stem cell research. It did really well. 6 months after that, that same friend and I, we actually opened a gallery in Chelsea. So 3 Squared was one, which was very successful for 3 years. We did a lot of emerging artists. We broke a lot of artists from overseas into the US market. So people that had never shown him before, I saw something in that no one else did. So I would bring them over, I would showcase them in the gallery, and we had this amazing rapport with the community. So in 3 years, we kind of went from an unknown gallery space to like the staple of the art world.
And which is an amazing achievement because the art scene in New York, it's so competitive.
It very
so it's not simply about putting up a show whatsoever, because also the crowd in New York is very competent, and of course you have the competition of all over the world. Everybody wants to come to New York and make an impact. So in particular, as an art curator, what you look for when you organize a show or you select artists?
I look for numerous things. I look at the artist's body of work to see if it kind of fits with the aesthetic of the buyers that I have. I look at their mission. I need to make sure that they have some kind of social consciousness to their work. I'm all about like supporting charities and helping the community. So it's very important to me that those artists align with my values on that. I also like to take an unknown artist and kind of boost them into the world. On the flip side, I have worked with a lot of different galleries as a consultant and also a director, including Chase Contemporary here in Chelsea. And I think that it is very important for females to be represented because I see a lot of female artists being underrepresented in the art world. And I want to kind of change that dynamic. So people of color, females, these are kind of the minorities, and even though they're out there creating art, they're not getting the recognition as male counterparts. So I really like to kind of bring that movement forward as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember that you curated a show, She Is, right? And which that's exactly the purpose of the show. And it's that is very important because I had the chance to then talk to some of those artists, and it's really great when you can hear the perspective of that specific artist. It gives you really a new way to look at the world, and it's the best way to really understand people's ideas, where they come from, when you actually get to know the artist, and you have the artist himself or herself explaining their works. I think is one of the best feelings that as an art connoisseur and art lover as I am, that is very important to have the artist with you in the gallery and explaining what is their point of view.
I absolutely agree with you. Was actually a feminist art show that I curated at one art space in Tribeca.
Mm-hmm.
We had 22 female artists. We had one transgender artist, and we were telling their story, and they were telling everything from hope to despair. Some of them have been through like traumatic experiences trying to come to this country as refugees, and we told this narrative through art, which everyone can relate to. So it was this beautiful moment, and everyone got up and spoke at the end. And, you know, I'm all about giving artists a voice.
Yeah, that is very important. That's what really makes your shows special. That's why I always enjoyed them. And again, I was mentioning, briefly that the art industry and the art market in New York is harsh. You have sharks everywhere in the art scene. It's a very complex social texture, because you have the gallery owners, then you have the critics, then you have the artists themselves and the curators. So it's a very fragmented reality, where really it's a very fine balance. There is always, if you can talk a little bit about that, every art show, every art exhibition, it's a little bit like a movie production, where there must be some chemistry and stars aligning in order to make it happen. Right. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think it's a fascinating aspect of the industry.
Absolutely. So there always needs to be a cohesion in a show. It is a little bit like a production. So you need to make sure that everyone's kind of connecting on some sort of level. You have your buyers, your curators, you have your gallerists, and everyone kind of has to come to one agenda. And our artists, they're sometimes difficult to work with. They're all up in the clouds. So they do need that business aspect, which is when the curators come in and say, "Hey, I love your work, but let's present it in this manner that can connect to people." So it is an interesting aspect. I've actually taught at universities as well. So I've taught at Parsons School of Design on art philosophy, and I've taught at Columbia University on how to turn art into a business. So I always tell the artists, people are going to care, but they're not really going to connect to your work unless they know your story. So don't be afraid to say who you are, and don't be afraid to be a little quirky, and just be yourself to make that connection.
Yeah, and then I think that they're absolutely right. And then also, we have this proximity now that was brought to us by social media. So once really an artist, it wasn't easy to reach or to understand. Now you can go to the artist website and Instagram profile, and you can see right away the whole portfolio. So it's not really about, get in touch with the works. It's really about to get to know the artist and what was his path and the way she decided to express themselves. Am I right?
Yes, absolutely.
So in this, of course, being yourself a creative mind, and I know you to be a very tough girl, despite the times and and the adversities that we had over the last months. You actually come up with a really great project. I know you're very proud of it, and it is the Zero Experiment art project. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. I'm super excited to have this project. So I was working as a director in Chelsea when COVID hit. And unfortunately, as we all know, our world has completely changed. So you can't go out, you can't go to a gallery anymore. And every Thursday evening in Manhattan, galleries used to open their doors, and everything from Tribeca to downtown, they would have wine, they would have cheese, and they would show their new artist offerings. So when that shut down, artists didn't know what to do. Galleries were losing money. So I came up with a concept that every Thursday evening from 6 to 7, I would use an online platform that allows the artists to kind of come on and do a live interactive studio tour. We bring on, a select audience. We also have a performer. So we also represent like singing talent. We had a mime before from the House of Yes. And we bring all these facets together. And then our uniqueness is we allow the people on the call or on the platform to actually interact with the artists. And we're connecting people.
Wow, that's awesome.
An artist from China to a buyer in London. You know what I mean? There is no barriers to this. It is completely global. it is a completely revolutionary way to look at art.
So you basically kept the tradition of having the openings on Thursday night, but you combine it with the best, basically, that technology allows us to do. And I think this is a great potential that still hasn't been fully explored. So we can say that you are at the edge of this in some way, and it is extremely important. Because again, there is a business aspect connected to this, of course, because artists, aspire, dream of making a living out of their art. For some, not. For some others, this is what it is. So how was the response that you have seen so far this model has played out?
It's been amazing. We've sold a piece to Australia, so we've in our first 3 days, so we're instantly international. I've looked at the metrics. We've had people from Asia, from Australia, obviously from America, from South America. This is a global thing. People are tuning in. People are interested, and even because of the time difference, some people stay up till 3 a.m. just to see our show. So we've been the New York Times, Forbes magazine picked us up. We've had such an amazing response from both the press, the buyers, and the artists. And I do want to keep this going and see where it goes.
That is incredible. I really appreciate that. You really, you didn't give up. You faced the adversity and actually come up with something that, made something new and actually helps artists a lot. And
we also have a charity aspect. Sorry to cut you off. We also have a charity aspect as well, which I didn't talk about yet, but we're a socially conscious company. So every week we pick a different charity, and 20% of everything that we sell for that week goes to that charity. So we've supported NYC Food Bank for homeless people and people that can't afford to eat. LGBTQ is very big on our list. We've supported a homeless youth organization of, kids that have come out as gay and they've been kicked out by their parents and they have nowhere to go. So we put a lot of money into them. And, we love giving back to the community. So that's another aspect of what we're doing.
That is great, and that's why that is why the art world is so important. There is a connection to local communities and social causes that is absolutely important. Is a fantastic echo chamber in order to give voice to people who are not represented, and to connect people from different layer of society. And in doing this, this is actually what's going to happen also this week, where you are presenting a new artist, Olivia Reckert. Like I checked the works, it's really visually stunning, to say the least. So, can you tell us a little bit about this artist?
I can. I'm so excited to have Olivia this week. Olivia Reckert. She is local artist from Brooklyn. She's absolutely incredible. She does a lot, her works embody a lot of love, peace. She also works in fashion. She does these great leather jackets. And, I just thought, with everything that's going on, and our world is so sad right now with the riots, and, why not have a little bit of happiness in our lives? So this is everything that Olivia's work embodies is kind of what I'm hoping we need in this world, love and peace. And she's amazing. We do have a performer, Melanie Tomsky, as well. She's an amazing guitarist and pianist. She will be singing to open the show. And we've decided to support Black Lives Matter. So 20% of everything that we sell is going to go to that movement, because, I do support what's going on, and I like to give back.
Yeah, as everybody trying to, we are trying to do our part in order to try to make the world a better place. And again, these events are important because they remind us what is most important, and that it doesn't matter if you can it's $1, it's $10, it's $100, it's $1,000. What is important is the awareness and the effort trying to give visibility to these causes and support the causes you believe in. It's very important. It's the essence of what we are and what we do. And in this case, so people can tune in Thursday June the 4th. So that's going to be tomorrow,
Mhm.
between 6 and 7 p.m. Eastern time. So they can RSVP going to the website. Can you give us the details,
Sure.
Marina?
If you guys want to take part, you go to the website. So it's www.thezeroexperiment.com/RSVP, or you just go to the website and then you'll see RSVP on the top right tab. You just enter your details, and then we send you a link to log on for tomorrow.
That is great. Of course, we're going to leave the details, how to RSVP and how they can find you, Marina, at thezeroexperiment.com. I can't thank you enough, Marina, for being on the show. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much. And again, I can't wait to see the show tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was wonderful to be here. And I look forward to seeing you and everyone else tomorrow.
Absolutely. Me too. Bye, Marina.
Bye. Stay safe, everyone.
Stay safe.